You've just come out of the scenario. How are you feeling?
It was quite stressful initially. It's quite a new thing for us to go through, but actually now I've done it, I'm feeling pretty good actually. I thought we did quite well between us, really.
Yeah, I feel okay actually. It was better than I expected.
So, just take me back into the beginning of the scenario and just try and explain to me what was actually happening.
Okay, so the scenario I've been given was that my patient was a young lady called Lucy who'd come into the ward very recently, and I was just sort of tasked with going to do a basic assessment. So I introduced myself, we sort of had a little chat and explored some of her concerns, and while we were doing that I was going through my A to E assessment. I was trying to be as systematic as possible to make sure that I caught all of the vital signs and all of the kind of clinical cues. And then as sort of that progressed, I started to have concerns that the things she was describing, the discomfort in her chest, the racing heart, coupled with her observations, so her blood pressure and her heart rate, were all giving me indications that maybe this was something that was coming from a problem with her heart, which is when I thought it was best to escalate to Laura, who was my sort of doctor in the scenario, and try and get her assistance to treat what I thought might be a deteriorating problem.
Okay. So shall we have do you want to just talk me through that phone call then that you had with the doctor?
Yeah, I mean, we watched it back on the video, and that when I watched my sort of handover there on the video, I don't think it was as good as it could have been. I think I was quite stressed when I made that first phone call. I wanted to get the doctor to the ward as soon as possible so we could start some sensible treatment. And I don't think I'd really taken enough time to organise my thoughts. So that I think what I handed over to you on the telephone was missing a lot of details, maybe not as organised, and I don't think I headlined my concerns soon enough. I think my kind of worries and concerns came towards the end of the phone call, whereas maybe if I was going to really get Laura to sort of share my concerns, I maybe needed to express that early on and then back it up with some sort of hard evidence from the observations that I collected.
So from your point of view, Laura, what was that phone call like?
Yeah, so I agree with you in some ways, I think, Paul. I think at the end of the phone call, I got that you were concerned about your patient and you wanted me to come. And you told me what her EWS was and that it was 5, which is a good thing to do, but sometimes it's useful to know why you're scoring a 5, why the patient's scoring, and what on the specifics, because that might have helped me prioritise a little bit more. But I knew that you wanted me with some urgency. Yeah. But I didn't really know what I was coming into.
I mean, I really appreciated that Laura got to the ward as quickly as she did, and I completely take your point. It's really valid that actually I don't think without those details, without sort of sharing the things that were making me think this was a cardiac issue, I don't think I really gave you an opportunity to sort of share my mental model. So I don't think I prepared you kind of for the patient you were going to face as effectively as I could have done. But I think hopefully by the time you'd arrived on the ward, I'd had a little bit more time to think, organise my sort of handover, and actually the bedside handover we did, I felt a lot more comfortable and confident with.
Yeah, well, I felt a lot better when I got there. I thought you gave me a really good handover, actually. It was really, really thorough.
Thank you.
And it was more that I just wanted to double check a couple of bits, because in my head I was trying to fill in my A to E, and it was just checking things, because I think from what you showed us on the video, I had to check again about the temperature and the BM, because I couldn't retain that information. So yeah, it gave me a really good idea of what I thought we were dealing with and actually what we could then do about the situation.
Yeah, I think by the time you arrived, I was ready to give that sort of S-bar structured handover, which I maybe could have could have utilised in the phone call. So that the S-bar would have been useful in the phone call, but I think we had it by the time Laura arrived.
So from my point of view, watching that scenario, a couple of things that I really picked on was that you had some really good closed loop communication, especially after you had your handover. So Laura, you were asking Paul to do to get the GTN spray, and also to do the the 12 lead ECG.
Yeah.
And you were very clear on trying to confirm when you wanted that, when Laura wanted that information back. So
Sure.
I thought that was a really good example of how making sure that you close that loop in that communication and everybody is on the same page of what people are being expected to do. So I thought that was really good.
I thought the delegation from Laura was really clear there, and I kind of felt like when she was kind of giving me those instructions, she really appreciated and shared my idea that this was probably something cardiac. So I felt that she kind of was on the same page with me at that point, and all I needed really was just a bit of clarity on which of the two sort of vital tasks she would like me to do first, because I knew the ECG was going to be important in terms of kind of furthering the diagnosis, but I also appreciate that the GTM was going to be really helpful in making Lucy feel more comfortable and sort of ameliorating her symptoms. So I just needed that little bit of clarity, but other than that I thought the delegation was really very clear.
So as a take-home learning point, what would you take away from this?
I think it's difficult, isn't it, when you're in a stressful situation and it feels like there's no time and that everything's rushed and everything feels like there's 1,000 jobs to do and no time to do any of them. But I think actually watching the video, it would have benefited us so much if I'd just taken a few seconds to organise my thoughts, maybe utilise one of the sort of S-bar sheets that we have on the ward, just to kind of get that handover down before I made the phone call. It would have maybe made Laura's job easier when she arrived on the ward. I think that would be my take home from this, really.
Anything from your point of view, Laura?
Yeah, and I think it's, if I receive that phone call and I don't have the information that I want, it's about asking for that. So I could have asked you on the first phone call.
Yeah.
You said the EWS was 5. Can you tell me what's making them score a 5? That would have helped me more as well, and that might have even prompted you to give me more information.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, thanks very much.